Hello, dear souls. I hope you all are fine and doing well. In today's session, we will be discussing about what are the different methods to conserve the forest, and at the same time, we will also focus on what initiatives the government is taking place and how, as a human being and as an individual, we can contribute in the development and the sustenance of the forest in India. I hope that the previous chapter, the things that we have discussed regarding the natural vegetation and its types are more clear to you now. Let's begin here in detail about the soil, the forest conservation, and now let's try to focus on the conservation of forest. After getting the deep study about the forest and its types, now we need to focus on the conservation of forest. Why we need to conserve and what are the methods we have to conserve the methods we will be discussing here. So before that, we have already discussed about the importance of forest, and as they are very important for us, it's our duty to conserve them. Let's try how we can try to do that. Before that, in short, what the importance we have from the forest. The trees are the jewels which adorn the nature. Trees makes the nature very beautiful. They also signify the importance of mountains, and they shuffle the creamy floats by the transpiration. Creamy floats means clouds, and through the transpiration they can try to spread the moisture process of transpiration that leads to have the downpour of rain. They also act as an opaque medium to the floods, in the sense obstructions. Whenever there are trees, they work as an obstruction to the floods, so floods never causes havoc in the lots of tree or the forested areas. They also help in maintaining the springs, in the sense the water. They act as steel walls to the forging winds, the winds which moves steadily. It can be the gradual also, and they just try to work the walls and try to stop their speed, which can be very destructive for the human beings and also for the soil erosion. The fresh air oxygen they produce is a life sustainer. They produce lots of oxygen that is very important for the sustenance of life on the earth, and they are the natural filter in the forest and locality areas. They make the soil erosion resistance because of the roots. They maintain the cycle of water and nutrients, and they are the source of fuel and timber. They also have the potential forms to support the hydroelectric schemes, and they owe their value much to fill the treasury of nature. These all importance we have already discussed in the beginning of this chapter, and this is just an overview that what are the importance of the forest. So we need to conserve. It's only because of that importance of the forest in our life. There is one more important thing. Why should we conserve the forest at a great extent in country like India? It's only because of what? Healthy ecological balance. Now, healthy ecological balance says that any country in the world, no matter it's a small in a size or a larger in a size, at least 1/3 of the total area should be under cover of forest, and that's a proper balance of ecology in that particular country. But from Indian perspective, if you just take a look at, we have only 23% of land which is under cover of forest, and still we have not coped up with the proper percentage, that is 1/3. And because of this reason, there is no proper healthy ecological balance maintained in India. We have the forest, but it is not maintained in a proper ecologically balanced way, and that is the most important factor. We should keep it in mind in order to conserve the forest rather than only the importance of forest. Then why we are not able to cope up and manage the 1/3 land under cover of forest? Why we have only the 23% land under cover of forest? There are few reasons. We have already discussed few more. Just try to take a look at here. The first one is the land of India is being cleared, especially only for the agriculture and for industries. It's only because of population pressure. Lots of population has lots of demand for agriculture. Lots of development has a demand for industry setup. Because of that, large amount of land is being cleared for this purpose. That's the first reason. Second, we have the practice of shifting cultivation, and that is banned in India now. But earlier, before, it has been practiced widely. Because of that, the land has been cleared in a very fastest way. Overgrazing of pastures. There is no particular land provided for the grazing. So anywhere, anytime, the people take their cattle for the pasturings, for the grazing. And because of that, there is a lots of destruction of forest. Next, we have deforestation for timber and fuel. There is no control over the cutting of the trees. That's why large number of trees are being cut for the timber, that is for making the furniture, for the building, for the paper, for the construction, for the ships, and especially majority of them is used as a fuel in the villages. And because of that, the forests are depleting in a very greatest quantity. Due to the industrialization and urbanizations, the forests are being cleared and the new houses are being developed in that areas, and proudly we call them as farmhouses. And even the cities are also widening their spans out of that area and approaching towards the forest. So the forests are being cleared in a large number due to the construction of many river valley projects. And as we are needed more and more water in order to sustain the population in India, we are focusing on storing the water that can be used into the dry season, and with the help of that water we can produce the hydroelectricity also. So we need to have the lots of river or the water projects, and when we conduct these projects, definitely the storage of water covers most of the forest area, and that will be underwater forever. And this is how we are reducing the area under cover of forest in a very great quantity. And because of that, we are facing the problems to let cover the healthy economical or healthy ecological balance in India. So we need to conserve the forest. So you may have question that why we need to conserve the forest in India. It's not only because of the importance, it is also because of these points discussed here. Let's see what are the measures we can have. Methods discussed widely for the conservation of forest. We have the varieties and the plenty of methods, but we need to implement it properly. The first one is undertaking silviculture on a very large scale. Now what do you mean by silviculture? The silviculture is the science of cultivating trees for sustained yield. We need to have some species which can grow widely and that can easily sustain the percentage of the forest in India, and also can grow in a very fastest way, and that science is called as silviculture, and that can be asked for a definition. Second, adoption of intense development schemes included the planting of quick growing trees on the suitable sites. We need to find out the species of the trees that quickly grows just like the bamboos, and that we need to adopt it, and we need to have the intensive programs for that. So people along with the government can take these programs or the initiatives in a large scale, and we can try to enlarge the number of forests in India. Strict prohibitions must be imposed by the government for cutting of the trees. There should be some fines, there should be strict prohibitions the government should implement in order to sustain the proper percentage of forest. Government should establish the national parks and the sanctuaries to protect the wildlife animals. As the number of trees in the forest are being cut down, the animals and the birds are losing their homes to live. So we need to provide their natural habitation by protecting the sanctuaries and the national parks, and that the government has to do. So automatically we can save or we can protect the number of the forest. Protecting forest from the depleting forces like forest fires by adopting measures such as air dusting and spraying. The common cause of destroying the forest, that is the forest fire, and when it takes place it burns the millions of hectares of forest at the time. So in order to cover up from that, we need to have some measures just like air dusting, so we can have some chemical firing from the air dusting from the air, so we can try to protect the forest from the forest fire, and also the spraying of chemicals or waters from the air. That will be good enough to sustain the forest, because forest growth takes a long period of time, but when the fire breaks out easily within 1-2 weeks they can be destroyed. Next one, people must be educated and they should know about the importance of forest, and they should also know the relationship between the environment and the human beings. And if these things are properly adopted and applied, definitely the cover of forest in India will reach up to 1/3 of the land. So few more projects the government has already launched, and the government is still working on that, how we can try to cope up with that particular percentage. Let's take a look at